Playboi Carti ended up dropping his album after 5 years, and the internet was surprised that Kendrick Lamar was a feature. Normal people obviously raised eyebrows because why is Mr. Morale on an album with a notorious deadbeat and suspected woman? I wanted to talk about this and how tons of people are using the culture as an excuse to be reprehensible. I mean, this whole thing doesn't sit right with me, and if you speak out against it, people will call you soft, or as I said, use the culture as a shield. But in reality, if this is what the culture is, as in being bad people, harming others, and lacking actual morals, we need to denounce the culture. But I'll talk more about this later. For now, I want to start by saying the album wasn't bad at all. As a person who isn't a fan of this deadbeat, I'd say the album is a solid 7 to 7.5 out of 10. I didn't feel anything listening to it because, in my opinion, it lacked substance. But it was a collection of hard songs that you could vibe out to in a car. Is it chromacopia? Hell no, because Carti is not capable of producing something like that. And also, the nigga was using AI on Rather Lie and Find Shit, so that instantly made me like the album less. But overall, if you're not a fan of this deadbeat and you want to listen to some hard stuff mindlessly, go bump the album. And also, Fantano, somehow I don't agree with you even on a Carti album, which is surprising because I'm not a fan of Carti. So, I mean, you'd expect one of music's biggest critics to, you know, rate that lowly, and me to feel lowly about an artist I already don't like, but I'll give it to Carti. It wasn't that bad. Anyways, the whole thing started because Kendrick called Carti his evil twin on good credit. Okay, so number one, Kendrick, you're 37 years old, man, and Carti is 29. Niggas is too grown to be using this terminology, especially when the evil twin in question is a horrible father, acts like a mysterious bi-vampire, and also apparently women. And if that doesn't leave a bad taste in your mouth, bro, you're crazy. Especially when, number one, you have Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers and the entire Kendrick v Drake beef. But let's start with Mr. Morale.
Godspeed for women's rights. They judge you, they judge Christ. Godspeed for women's rights. They judge you, they judge Christ. Godspeed for women's rights. They judge you, they judge Christ. Godspeed for women's rights. They judge you, they judge Christ. Godspeed for women's rights. I've
seen people point towards Mr. Morale as a reason Kendrick shouldn't be collabing with Carti, and I agree. It was an album about growth and recognizing harmful things Kendrick had been doing, like cheating on his women. And after making an album about vulnerability and introspection, you're gonna go and start making music with Carti out of all people? That's so weird to me. I've also seen this other side of the coin where individuals say Kendrick has always been this way. He even says so on To Pimp a Butterfly. He's the biggest hypocrite of 2015. People have been genuinely using Kendrick's admission to being a flawed human as an excuse to do bad things. So I immediately went to r/Kendrick Lamar, and this is what they had to say. The gentrification of rap beef needs to be studied. I swear to God, realer words have never been spoken on this sub, and people think they're entitled to that gentrification too, which is insane. This is the type of things that people are saying, that this rap beef is being gentrified, when in reality it's not. We're in modern times and nobody wants to support people who lack basic ethics and morals. Tap into some Aristotle. That's some good philosophy. And to elaborate on what I was saying earlier, the culture is whatever at this point. This culture that people want to protect so bad glorifies the worst and only puts other young black men like me deeper into this street mindset. I'm about evolving, I'm about being dynamic, and yet this desire to hold so tightly on a culture that has led so many black people to dead ends really grosses me out. I want to read this small discussion that is within the thread. I think you misunderstand the discussion. Most people who are criticizing him never did put him on a pedestal. It is important to give backlash for the bad things an artist does, even if they themselves admit they are flawed. Self-awareness does not excuse anything. That part. I think people get that Dot knows he's a hypocrite, but I also think people thought he's a hypocrite trying to do better. That's the reason he went through that self-reflection in the first place, or so people thought. Not gonna lie, that's probably my biggest issue with Kendrick. Rather than using his understanding of his hypocrisy to better himself, he uses it as a shield to give into his impulses. I don't think Kenny is using it as a shield. It's more so his fans are using his self-awareness as a shield from actual criticism. And personally, I thought he was attempting to use that introspection as a start to being a better human, but apparently not so. But these people have articulated it perfectly. Just because someone is aware they do something bad doesn't mean they can't get criticized for it. If a dude told you he is his wife every day, are you gonna defend him because he said so a decade ago? If a dude told you he is worse than EDP or Diddy, are you gonna excuse it because he said so a decade ago? Obviously not, but apparently it takes extremes to get simple points through people's thick skulls. Now let's look at what Kendrick defines not like us as in an interview with SZA. Not like us? Not like us is the energy of who I am, the type of man I represent. Now if you identify with the man I represent, break the man down for me. This man has morals, he has values, he believes in something, he stands on something, he's not pandering. Morals, standing on something, not pandering. So you're telling me Not Like Us has a strong emphasis on morals, values, and standing on things, yet Kenny goes from Mr. Morale to mysterious deadbeat vampire? Are you serious? And people who idolize Kenny will pander to him and will compromise their morals because they enjoy his music, showing that they are indeed not like us, but Kendrick is also not like us. So what the hell is the point? This man has condemned Drake for questionable behavior with children, condemned his camp, and on one of his freaking songs has the whole registry markers over Drake's crib as the cover of the single, but went to ATL to collab with one of music's biggest dickheads. And then when you finally take notice of this, Kendrick fans will say you're being soft, or you're gentrifying the culture, or the culture's ruined. But in my opinion, if you're content with horrible people, no growth, gang violence, and everything that will lead the black youth astray, I'm fine with not aligning with the culture, because after all, I'm not like y'all.
I just spent 10 bands in London. You gotta get it if you want it. Just keep grinding, stop the stunning. BB kicking shit is punning. You can hit this